Hi my jellies, welcome back to my channel. My name is Angelique and today I'm so excited because I'm finally bringing you a new updated brow tutorial. I know you guys have waited for this since November because that was my last tutorial, and in that tutorial I used so many products because as you can see my eyebrow hairs are very sparse, so I felt like I needed those products, all of those, to be able to get a realistic version of real brows. However, since that time I have been working really hard to be able to get the amount of products that I use down, because I know that's a lot for someone to buy, especially if they don't own any of the products starting out. And speaking of my previous brow tutorial, I just want to say thank you so much because currently we are at over 322,000 views, which is astronomical for my little channel. Since the benefit brow search is going on, I wanted to make this one of my entries, and so today I'm only going to be using two products. I'm going to be using the Benefit Kabrow. I'm in the shade 3, and then I'm also going to be using the Gimme Brow. And before we get started, let me just say this really quick. Brows are very specific to everybody. Everybody likes their brows a different way. So a couple of things. The brow products that I have may not match this because this is a wig and it will probably match better to my natural hair. So I've got this little headband on so you guys don't focus on that too much. I hope that what you guys will take from this, even if you don't like my brow style, I hope that you guys will just take away the actual techniques that I'm giving you guys. That's what I want you guys to focus on so that it will help you. I also want to thank you guys because in my previous brow tutorial I got a lot of comments asking about why my brow hairs were so sparse, and a lot of people said that theirs were sparse because of their thyroid. And I just want to say thank you because I did find out that that was part of my issue, and since I've been on medication I feel like my brow hairs have grown back in a little bit. I'm going to zoom you in a little bit more because I want you to be able to see up close how sparse my eyebrow hairs are so that you can see how comparable my brows are to your own, and then that way you'll know whether or not this brow tutorial is for you, because if you have really full bushy brows this might not be the tutorial for you. Okay, so I have you zoomed in as much as my camera will let me, and so I just wanted to show you guys exactly what I'm dealing with. Like I said, my brow hairs have kind of grown back in some, so there is, you know, a pretty good line here. There's a big chunk missing right here, and then there's some here, and then my tail is actually like pretty good. So what I'm going to start off with, which is what I start off with in every single one of my brow tutorials, and that is mapping out the brows. I always feel like this is super important because this is the #1 thing that people always ask me. Where do my brows start? Where does my arch go? Where do they end? The first thing I'm going to go in with is this Benefit Kabrow. When you take the lid off, it has its own little brush and you can just flip it over and you can use that. However, I have a brow brush that I've been using for a really long time, so I'm just going to stick with that. What I like to do is just take the end of this and get a little bit of the pomade out, and I like to just put it on my hand and work with a little bit at a time so that it doesn't dry out what's inside the jar. So what I like to do is I like to just get this on both sides of my brush and make sure that my brush is really nice and flat. So as you can see, my brush is really nice and flat. I typically like to map out my brows with a pencil, but I don't have a Benefit pencil here with me, so I'm just going to show you how to do it with this. So what I like to do is just take the brush and I like to line it up right here in the crook of my nose, or like in between the edge and the crook, like right in here, and I'm just going to go straight up and make a little line. Next, I'm going to go from the center of my nose to right through the pupil of my eye, and my arch should be right there, and this will be the highest point of my brow. And so last, I'm going to go from the corner of my nose to the outer corner of my eye, and then I'm just going to mark it off there. Next, I'm just going to take my pencil and I'm going to very lightly connect those just so that I have kind of a guide to go by. This part right here is going to be kind of in a straight line, and then we're going to curve it here, and then we're going to kind of go straight here too. You just have to figure out what works best for you, but that's kind of the shape that I go for. I'm going to take a spoolie brush and just brush my brow hairs down, and then I'm going to do the same thing. Now, one thing I would like to mention is that I like to keep my lines right where my actual brow hair is. Now, if your brow hairs are so sparse, then you can draw them as thin or as thick as you like. Everybody's preference is different. I do have a little bit of hair here, so I'm going to try to keep it within these lines. And again, I'm going to curve at the arch, and then I'm going to bring it down to this line that we made where the tail of the brow should end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw hair-like strokes with this, and I'm going to show you how I like to do it. So I like to take my brush and I'm going to press it flat against my skin, but I'm going to do it very lightly. I'm not going to give it too much pressure. And then I'm just going to flick it and kind of drag it up. So as you can see, it's giving me hair-like strokes. And I'm just going to draw these on in the same direction that my natural hair grows, or how I'm going to brush it up. And if you get a little bit too much in one spot, all you have to do is just keep going over it, and it just kind of blends it out. So here I'm just going to keep doing the same thing. I'm going to lay my brush down and flick it up. Kind of just move it back and forth, and I want to make sure that I get down here near the edge. If you need to just use the tip to get in places that you kind of missed a little bit, then that's cool too. I'm kind of angling these brow hairs a little bit because my natural brows do go that way, but I like to brush them up because I like the feathered look. So here I'm going to start to flick them straight up because my natural hairs right here do go straight up. I feel like the most important thing is to get the original hair-like strokes down. I messed that one up a little bit. We can just spoolie that out some and blend it, and it'll be fine. But I feel like we need the original hair-like strokes to make it look realistic, and then we can keep going in and adding more. So then I'm just going to keep filling them in until I feel like I'm happy with them, and that's where I want them to be. I like to let it set for just a few seconds to kind of settle in, and then I'll take my spoolie brush and I'll just kind of blend a little bit, but not too much because I want to keep the hair-like stroke dimension, if that makes sense. Next, I'm going to go in with the Benefit Gimme Brow. Now, as you can see, it has this little tiny brush on the end, and it's got the little microfibers in it. I know most people don't do it this way. They just brush it through, and you can do that. But I like to take it from the tail, and I don't want to touch my skin with this because that will mess up our brow strokes. But I like to just flick the hair in the opposite direction that I'm going to end up laying them, because I feel like this gets right up under there, adds more fibers to the hairs, and then makes them more voluminous. And the more volume that they have, the more 3D and the more realistic it looks. And then it also creates the illusion that we have way more hairs than we do, and it blends in with the brow strokes that we made with the pomade. So I'm just going to blend this backwards. When I get to here, to the front where my hair grows straight up, I'm literally going to brush them backwards, so down. But like I said, don't touch the skin with this because it could mess up our brow strokes. I'm going to try to get to every single little hair that I can so that it creates the illusion that there is more. Now, once I've done that, I'm going to go back with the brush and I'm going to brush my hairs in the direction that I want them to go. I like a little bit of a feathered look because I feel like that also gives the illusion that we have more hair than we do. So I like to brush mine pretty much straight up. And as you can see, that looks really real, especially compared to this one. So to clean it up, what I do is I just take any concealer or anything like that that you like to use. You can even use your foundation if you need to. And I'm just going to go back and I'm going to just clean up underneath. So I'm just going to kind of follow that line that we kind of made in the beginning. This is where you can like make them as thin as you want or leave them as thick as you want. I like to just clean up a little bit right here. So as you can see, we used 2 products and this looks like a real eyebrow. These Benefit products will literally last all day long. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my other brow off camera and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like all together. Okay, you guys, so I have both brows done, and then I also did this glam look because I wanted you to see what my brows look like after I've drawn them on and after I've done a full face of makeup, to see how they fit my face better and to show you a better idea of like an overall look. And I did film this look for a tutorial as well, so that should be up at the end of this week. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope that these techniques really helped you guys. And if they did, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel to help me out. And thank you guys so much for over 322,000 views on my previous brow tutorial. I hope that you guys enjoyed this one as well, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.